Cloud, you will see when you open up the YAML file that you'll have, you'll be deploying in regions, and then you'll also be deploying in availability zones, and you'll also be assigning the network interfaces to different subnets within Google Cloud. One of the idiosyncrasies of our Google Cloud template is that we have to create a VPC and then put a subnet inside of each VPC. So in this lab, you'll see 3 VPCs, and there'll be a subnet per VPC, a /16 subnet per VPC. Now, if you were in something like Azure, you create a VPC and you might have lots of different subnets inside of the same VPC. In this lab, it's just one subnet per VPC. While you can reserve IP addresses, they're all ephemeral by default. So when you run the commands, you will create big IPs which use ephemeral services. So yeah, you can statically reserve them if you want. It's a one-to-one. When you see source IPs coming into the Google Cloud, you'll see coming to your big IP. If you wanted to test it, you could see the actual public IP coming to the big IP rather than any kind of NAT. So that's a little bit different than other public clouds. It's again, Google's moving fast. They are adding lots and lots of different capabilities as they move forward. We're using a lot of labeling today, so you can label all your instances with metadata, and underneath the hood, that's really what the Cloud Failover extension is using in order to do things like move routes, which you will see in Lab 3. We're kind of going to go through that in a video, but you'll see that the Cloud Failover extension has the ability to do move routes based upon failover from one big IP to the other. Also, we use labeling for things like auto scaling as well. So if you had an auto scaling use case where as you are bringing on as part of an auto scaling group lots of different backend services, then those labeling, the metadata, the labels are also used to automatically reprogram the big IP to support the new instances as they come on board. And yeah, that's this Service Discovery Eye app that we can talk a little bit about. When you go through the lab, you'll see you've got, we'll create a primary IP, and there'll also be some alias IPs once you've deployed it. Again, IPs can be ephemeral or static, but right now, the way you get traffic to the big IP is the internet traffic, or the traffic that will be for the TMOS, or the traffic management operating system, that will come in on NIC 0, and then you'll see that management is also running on NIC 1. So you have to, for internet traffic, it has to come in and be targeted to NIC 0 inside of Google. So then that kind of goes into the discussion, like, well, we've got templates, right? So which templates would I use? Would I use a 1-NIC template, or we've got the multi-NIC template? Again, this lab uses the multi-NIC template. There may be use cases where you might want to use a 1-NIC template, and we say it's the default choice. It's probably the simplest, but you have both management as well as traffic coming in on a single NIC. Management would be targeted on a different port. Now in this lab, we're using the multi-NIC. We're setting it up in a routed mode. But yeah, we do have the 1-NIC templates, and there may be valid reasons for why you'd want to use those. In fact, if you went out onto CloudDocs, probably the first demo that you'd see is a 1-NIC deployment. Kind of simple stuff. The multi-NIC, the multi-NIC is the routed mode. We're going to cover that today. You're going to see 3 NICs as part of the deployment. But yeah, back to that GCP or Google Cloud, you have to have traffic or internet traffic coming in to NIC 0. And with a 1 NIC template, again, both management and traffic is going to come in there in the multi-NIC, or we're going to set up a routed mode today. Yeah, you'll have traffic coming in on NIC 0 and or the external NIC, and traffic egressing out to the onto the private network onto the internal NIC. So yeah, you'll see that all in the lab. I'm going to cover a couple of HA options, and then we can jump into the lab. So there's lots of different HA options. This lab will choose API-based failover with the cloud failover extension, right? So you don't need, in this methodology, you don't need a cloud load balancer. Failover time can be slow, depends on what you define as slow. It's, you know, it's going to take a few seconds in order to move a forwarding rule from one big IP to the other. Only one big IP is in use at the time, so you don't have active-active. You can put it in a single availability zone, or you can also, the deployment that we're going to do today is across two availability zones, right? A single VPC, 2 availability zones with a big IP in one availability zone and another big IP in another availability zone. And again, the forwarding rules will move with the cloud failover extension. So that's the multi AZ mode. Again, you're not using any cloud load balancing. If you wanted to use a load balancer, so you've got a load balancer up here, right? So you can have active. This could be a valid choice. I was talking to somebody yesterday, like maybe you do want active. You'll get the use out of all of your equipment if you use a load balancer with active. Faster failover times. You might not be able to get the source IP from the internet, but you know, that's a discussion, right? Again, you're using a cloud load balancer for this methodology. Again, cross multi-AZ with a load balancer at the top. Fairly simple to understand. This is another way that you can do it. I've got an Amazon ELB at the top, but you could again use the same thing with a Google Cloud load balancer. So you could have multiple availability zones with multiple. If you wanted to scale out, so say I could only manage 5,000 users on one, I could have 5,000 users, and 5,000 users, and scale out to 15,000 users and scale out linearly that way. Again, you can auto scale. This is DNS, so big IP DNS using auto scale, right? So you could scale out your big IPs and you can update your DNS to reflect the new big IPs as they come online. This, I believe, is only supported with a one NIC type of an interface for auto scale, but you can certainly build this in infrastructure with a multi-NIC Google template if your architecture is somewhat static. Okay, lab 1. We're going to get into lab 1 because I've been talking too much already. So this is the lab environment. You will see, essentially, you're going to be connecting to via a jump host, and you're going to be deploying a big IP in 2 big IPs, one in one availability zone and another in another availability zone. And you can see the subnets out here. So we've got 10.1 is your external, 10.2 is your management. That's where the jump host is. And then you've got the internal VPC. And we've got a couple of web service here that you'll be able to run after you've gone through lab number 2. So I mentioned how to access the lab. You should have received an email with a jump host IP and a username and password, and the I've posted the lab links into the into the chat window. The credentials are below, so it should be something like lab user 10 password something, and then you'll connect via an RDP client into the into the lab. To make it easy for you guys, we've pre-created YAML files for each student, so that when you run the commands, the gcloud command, so you'll run the gcloud command at the bottom, what you need to do is copy the file from C users public documents student number.yaml into your private directory. So I've got a frog in my throat, sorry about that. You'll post it into your private directory, into the once you've git pulled the Google template, you will then copy it into the page directory, and this is all in the lab lab documents. I'm sorry, but you'll copy it into the page directory, and then you'll run the command to get the lab going. And then after that, there's a few more steps in order to configure up the lab to complete lab 1. And we've got 30 minutes in order to complete the first lab. So without further ado, I'm going to say start lab 1. And the time now is 12:27, so which is Pacific Standard Time. So I'm going to say let's come back at 1 o'clock and see how we're going. So that's 32 minutes from now.
Okay, I'm going to throw a timer up for us, but I just want to say one thing too. So for the people who jumped into those breakout rooms, you weren't supposed to do that yet. But what Paul had said is that he had YAML files set up, a few other things too. So while they're getting started, for the people who jumped in the rooms, Paul, do you want to say like the last 30 seconds of what you said about from YAML files on?
Yeah. Am I sharing? Hang on a sec. Share my screen. Okay. So we've got pre-created YAML files in C users public documents, and you'll see that there's a lot of YAML files there, but there's labuserx.yaml where your X is your user number. So if I'm labuser20, it would be labuser20.yaml. You'll copy that into your subdirectory, your particular user subdirectory, and then you'll run the command. This is all in the lab. I'm going to copy again lab 1 into the chat screen right now. And then there's also additional steps in order to complete the lab, but this will get you going.
What was the breakout sessions for?
So for, I guess for anyone who's joined a bit later, we talked about that right at the beginning. So breakouts are for if you need that extra one-on-one help. So for whatever reason, if you're having trouble with your lab or you need some assistance, just message us in the chat. We're here monitoring the chat the whole time. So if you need help for whatever it is you need help with, one of our lab SCs, whether it's Kurt, Chris, Sanjay, or I think he's back, Nasir's back as well too, will be able to assist you. And then to get that one-on-one shoulder surf help, you'll bump into your breakout room. I'm going to open all the breakout rooms again right now in case you need them, but they're not required. They're for that shoulder surf kind of assistance to mimic as if we were in a lab, right? Make sense? Sorry, Doug. I saw you go in there too, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna have to tell him about a few things."
I didn't know what it was for.
Thanks for that.
Figured someone was wanted me to join or something.
Sorry about that.
I saw a button and I just pressed it.
Yeah, I do that all the time too.
Again, it's
Oh, Paul, sorry. Unmute. Go ahead.
You're muted.
Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just wanted to go over this. This is the Survey Monkey session here. You know, complete it. That would be great if you would. But at the bottom, you can choose the size of flip-flops that you want, and that's awesome.
So just so everybody knows too, I double checked that link as well too, and that link seems to be working. I reposted it again after I tested it just to make sure. Should be good. If you have any trouble, let me know. We'll figure it out.
The question I have is, am I going to get multiple sets of flip-flops? I've already done this.
Oh,
my
maybe.
lab this
Yeah.
morning. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm asking. Should I
Yeah, I
order
bet
a
you
set
will.
for like my wife or something or what?
Yeah, I mean, you want to pick one for you, one for your wife, and then the more you join, then some for your kids. If you've got kids.
How many
My
do we
really
have?
one is
before we do
that
shirts?
red on black hat that Matthew's rocking. I haven't seen one of those being offered.
These I think there was 25 made in Canada, and I think this is the last one. It's a little dirty.
Made in
But hey,
Canada.
you never know.
Maple syrup flavored.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to stereotype, but yeah, I didn't mean to be rude there. Maple syrup.
Well, that's okay. It's true. I don't know if anybody knew. Keep working on your labs, but I'll tell you a story. So this is true. There is a black market for maple syrup in Canada. Not all maple syrup is created equally. I don't know if you know this, but apparently it's true. I've never had any, but it exists out of Montreal mostly. Google it. I'm just gonna throw up too, so you guys can see too. That's the last slide too. If there's anything you want me to post too, Paul, just let me know and I'll throw it up there. So that's the last slide there, kind of the cheat sheet. Does that make sense, or should I take it down? I'll work on a thumbs up. Means good.
So I'm still having remote access connection issues using RDP and user lab 27. Lab user 27.
Hey,
okay,
Will. So I
ahead.
sent you a new credential to your email. Can you check your email?
All right, thanks.
Hey, by the way, you don't have to edit those YAML files, but there is a question about the property values in the YAML files. It just depends on the property whether they need. Oh, there you go. Somebody's responded to that. Again, for everybody involved, you don't need to edit the YAML file. It's already pre-created for you.
I clicked later on that, Nasir. Do you want me in a breakout session?
Is that to me?
Yeah, I saw you invite me to a breakout session. I don't need one, but if you want me to join it?
No.
Okay.
If you don't need one, feel free to carry on.
Cool.
So I just opened all the rooms, so everybody has them, engineers included. So you guys all have your rooms open. Chris, if you need one, let me know, and I can make one for you, Christian. Cool.
Are you good to go, Rushi? Right, or Rushi? I don't really know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
Hey, Sanjay, if you want to just jump into your breakout room, there's a couple people in there just in case you need assistance, so they won't hear us in this room. Cool? Let me see a thumbs up so you hear. Got it. Thanks, buddy. Kurt, there's one person in your room too, if you want to just jump in there and make sure they're okay.
Hey, Matt, if needed, you can put me in the room as well.
Oh, San. Okay, sure. What? I'll sign you to Nasir's room. Oh, you have your own room. I'll sign you to your room.
Matt, I don't see my room.
Who's that?
Kurt.
Same here, Matt.
Kurt, you will be assigned to your room right now. Sorry though.
Okay, cool.
Kurt, you're in your room. Sorry about that.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
And Kurt, I put you in your room or I opened it for you. Paul, you don't have one. You got to stay in the main room with me.
I'm good. So Bhavesh. Okay, hang on.
Hey, Christian, maybe you want to, I'm going to assign you to Sanjay's room for now. He's got a bunch of people in there. Just make sure he's okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Nasir, you're good here. There's no one in your room. Oh, yeah, you have one person in your room now too, Nasir, if you want to check it out just in case.
Yeah, Matt, can
Oh,
you?
I got to reassign you. Yeah, got it.
Thank you.
No problem. Sanjay, you're good in your room there now?
So I don't see my room here, actually.
Sanjay, I'm going to reassign you. Hold on. Just give me 1 second. There, you've been assigned to a room there, Sanjay. I don't think you need to go in. Christian's in there right now, or whatever you need.
Hey, Bhavesh, I'm going to email you your credentials.
Sure, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Dayton. That's a good point. So description, if in the G-Cloud command, I'm looking at the documentation now. It should be dash description, not dash description. So yeah, in fact, if you look on the cheat sheet, and I will share my screen. Hang on a sec. On the cheat sheet, it says, yeah, all of these commands here, dash config, dash description, they need to be double dash. Now, if you look in the document, it looks like a single dash. And that may be the way that Cloud Docs has rendered them, because I know that they're correct, at least in my GitHub. Sorry about that, guys.
Hey, Nasir, did you get my broadcast that I sent out?
No, I didn't. I was in a breakout room.
Well, yeah, I did a broadcast message to the breakout room. I just wonder if you got it.
No, sorry.
That's okay, fine. You came right back, so I thought you got the message. I'll try to send it again.
So how do I get to my breakout room?
Who is this?
Jeevan.
You should have a, just let me double check that you're in the breakout room. Yeah, everybody's assigned to a room. So you should have a little icon down at the bottom of your window. It says,
On Zoom window?
pardon me?
On-
Zoom
on
window,
the-
yeah.
Okay.
And it should say breakout room or join breakout room.
Okay, I see it. Thanks.
You just joined there. Do you need some support for something?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Just let me know. All right, we'll make sure someone's in there. Nasir, you got someone in your room again.
Hey, Bhavesh, did you get the email that I sent to you?
He's in the breakout room with Nasir.
Okay.
Do you want me to throw out a poll there, Paul?
Sure.
Excuse me, I just lost connection to my virtual machine. Has someone logged in or is it a network issue? I don't get it.
Is that Santouche?
Yep.
Why don't you jump in that room? Nasir's in his room, so go to your breakout room, and Nasir will probably be able to walk you through. Unless Paul, you want to do that right here?
So what happened, Santosh? Were you in the RDP session and you got knocked out, or what?
Correct. I just lost my RDP session. Correct.
Okay, hang on a second.
Oh, I'm back in. Thank you. Whatever you did, work.
No problem.
Okay.
Glad to help.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Paul, I'm going to close the breakout rooms in a session and just run a quick poll, then I'll open them back up.
Okay.
Do you mind if I do that? We're about 12 minutes, about 10 minutes left in this one.
Yeah, no, completely. That's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to close all the rooms for now. Here we go. Breakout rooms will close in 1 minute.
Are all labs streamed to YouTube? I was just a curious question on that.
Nothing is being recorded, but yes, they are streaming to YouTube. I know that doesn't make sense, but they are unlisted. Whatever is going to YouTube is unlisted and it won't be published.
Okay, I was just curious.
But yes, all labs are being streamed to YouTube.
It's a backup mechanism as well, mostly, if anything else.
Yeah.
I'm watching it now and nobody is monitoring or watching our session.
Not worried about that. I just noticed it in the left-hand corner. I was like, what's that?
So I'm not sure we got all the way through. Did you do a poll, Matthew?
Yeah, I'm just going to run the poll right now. Just kind of give everyone a chance. Well, first question, lab status. Okay, I'm going to launch this poll. We're just kind of just see where everybody is and how we're doing. If we need to extend the time or we're around 10 minutes left of this lab. So here, I'm going to just look at this for everybody to know. So we're working through issues. We're getting through it. So we'll keep it 10 minutes. In 5 minutes, we'll check again. I'm going to launch that same poll. So we're good. Let's keep. We'll just keep working away right now. I'm going to open up the breakout rooms if you guys need to work through issues again. If there's no one for SE guys, if there's no one in your room, you can just stay in here in the lab area so you can help me go through questions. So I'm opening up the breakouts again in case anyone needs it. So if you don't need assistance, stay in the main room. For people who need the one-on-one, you can jump into your breakouts.
We have availability for somebody to help Sam there with his G-Cloud command.
Yeah, Sanjay's in his room, it looks like. Sam
Amar.
Yeah, Sam A.
Okay.
Yeah. Kurt's working with a few people too.
Buti naman nabusog kayo. Buti naman nabusog kayo. Parang grilled. Alam mo ginawa ko dyan?
I got it, Paul. Thanks.
There should be lots of dashes. Sorry. In that syntax, it looks like you've got dash. Like this.
Hey, Marvin, I'm going to move you in a room with San. San, can you work with, do you need assistance or are you good, Marvin? Just let me know in the
I
chat.
think he's fixing.
No, I think
yeah.
he's trying to help out. I think he's sort of saying that I think some people are putting dash config, or it needs to be dash dash config and dash dash description.
Okay.
Yeah, it works now, so sure.
The same issue, I think, with Sam, and this is the lab guide looks like it. See if I can go over to.
Yeah, it could also be the format, which is sometimes not every format makes it shown that in fact those are two dashes.
Right, exactly.
Hey, San, I'm going to add you to Kurt's room. And because there's a few people in there, if you need some assistance there, then I'm going to just tell me and I'll put some people into your room. So you want to jump in there? I'm going to assign you to move to Kurt's room. Okay. Are you good? Give me a thumbs up if you're good. Go ahead, join Kurt's room. See if he's okay. There's a lot of people in Sanjay's room too. Kurt, do you want to jump in there with Sanjay? I'm going to add you to Sanjay's room. Just give me 1 second. Just make sure that they're okay and they don't want any additional help. If they do, come and tell me and I'll move people to your room.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I just pasted into the lab the lab that Cloud Docs became, right? So if you click on that lab, it will show the commands with dash dash with separation between the dashes.
So Paul, what do you want me to do? You want to close all the rooms here and bring everyone back and kind of say, hey, let's pause those labs and we'll go back? Or do you want to just give them an extra bit of time?
Let's do 5 more minutes.
Okay.
And then we can pause. And then honestly, we'll go into lab 2 after that. They could do lab 2, but it doesn't mean, you know, this lab will not shut down at 2 o'clock, right? So
yeah,
they have many hours afterwards to complete it. So we'll give it 5 more minutes. If they're still stuck on lab 1, they can pause. We'll go through lab 2. We'll go through a couple more slides and then lab 2. And then we can do lab 2, and then take another 20 minutes.
Sounds good.
Yep. For that lab. I think lab 2 is actually, you know, a bit easier than lab 1. And I do apologize to everybody involved, but we converted the labs over from a one GitHub repo to another GitHub repo. And it's that one thing where those 2 dashes look like they're joined together. And that's probably what's causing the most issues. I apologize for that.
Hey, Matt, can you assign Josie to my breakout room?
Yep. Done. You and Josie can go in and join that room.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
It's still showing Kurt Kersey room.
Sorry, I haven't moved you. Sorry. Okay, give me 1 second. There you go. Now you're good.
There you go. Cool. Thanks.
I hope you like my timer as well, Paul. I got this one from the guy you recommended me to.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, it looks good. YouTube? Is it YouTube?
No, it's some timer big timer from Tony, I think you saw using it.
Yeah, big timer. Yeah.
And so you're seeing the message in the chat there? I think he's in your room too.
I can see a lot of people have actually completed the lab. At least they've got working VE, so that's good.
Okay. There it is. Countdown. I wonder if it's going to make a noise. Hey. I've never heard it end. That's the first time I heard that. So I'm going to close all the rooms and bring everyone back. Sound good, Paul?
Sure.
All right. It's going to take a minute, and then everyone will come back. Breakout rooms will close in 55 seconds. Okay, it looks like so we give an extra 5 minutes here. It looks like we're all back in the main room right now. I think we are. We're going to give another 15 seconds until everyone's back from the breakout rooms.
Okay. So is everybody back? I just wanted to note that you had the whole dash versus dash dash. I'm not sure if everybody heard me. I kept like pointing this out, but the what's happened is we've converted the docs over to our Cloud Docs repo, and the dashes look like they're one big dash. I apologize for that. But yeah, I actually copied the link of the original repo into everyone so everyone could see it, and you can there see the cloud, the separated dashes. So with that, I've got a few more slides, and then we've got a lab 2 that we can go through. But if you haven't finished lab 1, you can finish lab 1 and then go into lab 2. Lab 2 is pretty short, but I've only got a couple more slides here just to talk about different architectures that you might want to accomplish. So can everybody see my screen? You should say some architecture. All right.
Some architecture.
Okay, so at F5, we're trying to work on something called secure cloud architecture, where you have this notion of a kind of a front door VPC, where you place your big IPs, and you know, where to fit F5 is going to be a question, right? It's always going to be an architectural question, but we are trying to come out with a standard blueprint for every cloud on where we think it should fit. And we do think it should fit in kind of a DMZ area before your backend applications, and acting as a secure proxy and providing security services and application delivery to your backend resources. So yeah, again, we can be active or active passive. You could have a sandwich of big IPs here as well. So if you wanted to use something like a next generation firewall for ingress, for things like looking at decrypted traffic, you could configure 2 pairs of big IPs with something like a firewall or a tap or something like that would look at decrypted traffic for inbound use cases actually. And we also have outbound, which is not really a very common cloud thing, but typically it would be an inbound use case in the cloud. And so we're building out templates for that. Whether you choose active or active backup, it's just a design choice. But yeah, I mean, it really depends. And again, we've got the load balancer based templates rather than the cloud failover extension. And this is also about persistence. Like if you've got web applications and you've got, you know, n+1 scaling or 2 or more boxes, then you're going to need session affinity or stickiness to be able to stick your users to the back end resources. But yeah, here we are, big IP in the front, four VPCs at the back. These might represent customers or prod or non-prod VPCs, just different ways of doing it. So how do you deploy it? You could deploy it with DNS and just have one big, if you use DNS in front of big IP, you could have a single name that would distribute traffic out to each of the regions, or you could use a portal site with links. There's various different ways, but yeah, global load balancing or a link, an ingress with Access Policy Manager where you've got links to all of your sites. So there's different ways of architecting out your solutions. The point here is how do you differentiate services, right? So, you know, in the cloud, often ephemeral types of IPs could be costly. So we've got this thing called server name indication. So what you could do is you could have a single entry point, and then you could have multiple hidden services behind it where you're using, again, like SSL-based server name indication in order to route your traffic to the different services out there. Or you could use a Google Cloud Load Balancer. It's really up to you. I'm just kind of going into some of the different design choices, right? So what does service discovery mean? How does big IP discover backends, right? So whilst we're not doing any of that here, auto scaling for backends is a common use case these days in the cloud. We do have some really nice iApps out there that will allow you to use that metadata labeling that can be associated with instances that will allow you to auto scale and reprogram the big IP dynamically with the auto scaling iApp. So there's different ways of doing that. But obviously, the more you can leverage automation to create or build out your configurations, the better. And I wanted to make this lab a simple lab. Like, let's create a couple of big IPs inside of Google, and then let's talk about some of the things that you can do, because there's so many choices when it comes to cloud design. Also, that YAML file, if you noticed, it's got an AS3 declaration in there. And if nobody's ever come across AS3, it's a way of, once I've configured my big IPs, how do I want to program virtual servers and infrastructure, traffic management types of objects? And AS3 is an API that you can use with that YAML template, where you can send an AS3 declaration, and it can configure your big IPs with VIPs and pools and what have you, and big IP configuration as part of a deployment. There's a lot of discussion that you could go into here. And really, given the time we have, I just want to get into lab 2, and that is to create the VIP and test failover. And then we're going to give this, I think we're going to give this 20 minutes, and then San is going to do a demo of what should have happened at the end. Here's how it works if you went through both lab 1 and 2. So lab 1 and 2, create VIP and test failover. And it should all work. Failover should all work if you set it up correctly, because it's all using forwarding rules. I want to point you to my lab. If because there may be some in the Cloud Docs, there may be some typos, so or it may have not have come across properly. So I'm going to just send you a link in the chat for Lab 2, and then we can take it from there. So can you start a timer for say 20 minutes for Lab 2, Matthew?
Timer started, and you're not seeing it, but you're going to in 1 second.
So that link that I just gave you is the Lab 2. So after you've done Lab 1, you create a VIP and you test failover. And then after that 20 minutes, Mr. Sanko is going to give you a quick demo of what you should have seen in the lab today. Don't worry, guys. We're going to keep these labs up for the rest of the day, so you'll be able to complete these labs at your convenience. And I can see, based upon looking at it, that there's a lot of people that have actually gone through the lab now. So, in fact, there's more people than are on this call than have actually completed the lab. That's cool. There may be people that don't want to listen to me, and I understand that.
Listen to you is fine. So looking at you is what I have a hard time with.
I know, right?
Kurt loves my jokes. I could tell. He almost fell off his chair that time.
I thought that was good. I liked it.
I tried to do my hair, I
was just kidding. You look very handsome.
I haven't been able to get a haircut. It's growing out. I'm going to have a ponytail one of these days. But yeah, anyway. I took a shower today. What more do you want?
Before 6 o'clock.
Matt, can you open the breakout room again?
Oh yeah,
me and
bro.
Josie?
I'm opening them up right now.
Okay.
Christian too, if you want, I create one for you. If not, that's okay too. Chris, and yours, so you just got to tell me who you want me to put in that room. Chris is already in there. I think this is Valentine. If you're in here too, I haven't assigned you to a room, but if you need to be assigned to a breakout room, I'll throw you in Nasir's. But if you need a support or assistance, just let me know or message us in the chat and we'll get you lined up. Hey, Chris, if you were working with anybody, like you just got to tell me who to add to your room if you need help. But it looks like the room you guys are for Sanjay's room. There's a few people in there. Should I add anybody to your room? But I think like Gert's in there, Rishi, and one other person. So I think they're probably okay now.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you feel is best. You know, we were definitely busy in there when I was on there before with Sanjay and Gert.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I just made you your own room. So if there's someone else that needs support too, we'll just pop you. Well, I'll put them in their room.
Hey, Chris.
He's gone back to sit in his room, but there's
He's
no
gone.
one assigned. There's no. I can assign you to his room if you want to go talk to him. Yeah, you muted yourself there, but if you want to go back,
I'll go there for a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to put you. I'm going to assign you to Chris's room. You can tell him there's no one assigned to his room, so it's not going to work unless we sign somebody.
Okay.
Let's see, Chris. There you go. How about her?
This is for anybody that's listening out here, but I just wanted to, I'll just share my screen here. This one, share. This is the Google Cloud Console. So these are these are the networks that you guys are working in. And I mentioned earlier that you're creating these instances, and you can see there's these are all the instances that have been created as part of the lab. So
So do you want me to let everyone kind of keep working away too? Or do you want me to run a poll, kind of see status? But I just have to dump everybody out of the room.
yeah, so how many are in breakout rooms? I can see San and Nasir are back.
Yeah, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so customers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are in breakout rooms. But I'm guessing that 6 are maybe getting help.
Okay.
So we'll give them a few more minutes too. We'll run the poll and then we'll reset the timer if we need to.
Sure.
Cool.
I mean, what we can do, we can take a poll. What San's going to do is a demonstration of, if you got through lab 1 and 2, what you should see, kind of a thing. And then we've got lab 3, and that's like completely optional. So I've got a video to show, and it's really like how, if you wanted to move routes as part of a failover, this is how you would do it. So I've got a video for that, and we can leave that as an optional exercise for folks. I mean, lab 1 and lab 2 was kind of the main 2 that I wanted to get done.
Okay. So let's let the timer run out. We'll poll everyone, see what status is, and then we'll make a decision.
Okay.
Cool. Hey, Paul, you just got to move up to your camera just for 1 second. I bet you it refocuses itself.
Oh yeah.
There you go. There you go. You're good. You're good. It's funny. The Logic. I'm guessing you're using one of the Logitech ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're finicky like that. If you're just not right in that right section, you're good now. Or you know what I do too is I here I'll show you. I give if when I'm on my Logitech one, I kind of give it like just a fist right close, let it focus, and then pull it back, and then it kind of resets everything. No, well, you're good.
Oh, computers.
The funniest thing is anyways, they always just do what you tell you. We tell them to do.
Right. I was like, it's been working all day.
Yeah.
Now it's decided that it wants to take the day off.
Yeah. It's just they have that the Logitech ones have that fine center, and if you kind of they catch focus on something else, they just kind of it's hard to get them back. But yeah, so I just do the get in close, get a focus on something else. There, and give it a second, and then slowly like boom. There you go.
Wow.
Perfect.
Magic.
Yeah. Little tricks.
Nice trick.
I have my backgrounds too. If I fix those, sometimes if I use a Logitech, the green screen doesn't work. It looks like a broken down old sheet. I'm like, no, you just kind of move around and get the light right, and the light catches it in the right way, then it just sticks.
Let's bring them out of the breakout rooms and take a poll, I guess, and see how it's going. But yeah, I want Sam to do his thing and show what you should see.
Okay. So we'll do that, and then we'll get back and give everyone more time. We'll be around here for another 22 minutes, anyways.
Yeah.
Ten-second countdown.
Woo!
There you go. It's 2 more seconds till everybody's back. So it looks like we're closed out of all the rooms now. So everybody is probably coming back from still working on the lab. Let's run a quick poll right now just to see kind of where we are. More polling. Status 2, lab 2. Well, we know we're successfully logged in. We're going to run status 1. We're going to relaunch this poll. Continue. So everybody just kind of chime in on where you are in this current lab. I know this. Okay. All right, good. So most are 100% and some are working through it. So we're not done. We still have time. What I would say is what we want to do right now is just kind of spotlight not spotlight, but have Sam go through a quick demo of what should have happened for you today as well too. So I'm going to pass over to Sam. Sam, you want to just take it away right here with everybody? I'm going to spotlight your video. So you're live there, buddy. So take it away.
Cool. Thank you. Is it coming through?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is as if you completed lab 1 and 2, correct, Sam?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So once you complete 1 and 2, this is what you should see. So go to my big IP. As you can see, let me close the poll. So you can see big IP1 right now is the active one, and big IP2 is the standby one, right? And in my setup, I have 3 VIP, so that means 3 forwarding rules. I'm gonna go to device management.
So that means in the YAML file there, instead of 1, because I think in the YAML file it's 1, right? You'd have changed that number to 3 to create
Correct.
three forwarding rules.
Right. Yep. Okay. So I have 3 VIP. And this is my website. So as you can see right now, connecting to the virtual VIP1 backend service, second web server, and most important one is this is big IP1 internal IP address. So I'm connected to. So I'm gonna fail over to big IP2 and see what happens. Okay, boom. So I'll run the log before I fail over. So in my setup, I do the log level to Silly, which is kind of like verbose. So you'll see a lot of like API calls and all the other stuff. In your setup, it's summarized, so you only see like 5 or 6 line or summary of all these failover steps. Okay. I'm gonna go back. IP1. Now I'm gonna force the big IP1 to standby. Click, boom. So you can see big IP2 is taking over. It's updating the NIC, it's moving the NIC. And now it's moving all these forwarding rules. Cool. So my failover is complete now, successfully. If I go back, you can see big IP1 is now standby and big IP2 is active. If I go back and refresh this, it should change it to big IP2 IP address. And this is big IP2 now. And here is what it does with the API. So this is my, so these are the 3 forwarding rule, right? Now it's forwarding rule, these IP address coming into, it point to big IP2 now. Before it was pointed to the big IP1 in the Google forwarding rules. Okay. Yep, that was it. Any question?
So San, if I might add, there was a question here, and I mean I've answered it. I think for the person that asked it, he said, "So what is the forwarding rule here? So, or what are the forwarding rules here?" So, can you just highlight those forwarding rules and
sure.
What you would see again on the big IP?
Right. So,
and what
sure.
the public IP is.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So these are the forwarding rule. You can see like I have 3. So let's just look at the 3 last digit, 86, 67, and 40. If I go to my big IP2, go to virtual address list, you see all these addresses are in the big IP itself. So basically the clouds just pointed to the big IP 2 now. So if I fail over again, that should repoint it to the big IP 1.
Okay, so those numbers there relate to these VIPs, right? So these are public IPs here, right? That you've created
right
on the big
right.
IP, and they are forwarding rules, or they're forwarding to the instance that is the big IP.
Correct.
So does that clarify to the person that asked the question?
Right. So the forwarding rule only forwards to the NIC 0, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Some of your presentation, I have seen that people do mapping to the private IP instead of assigning a private IP to the F5. Instead of assigning a public IP to the F5, they assign a private IP. Then they do a NAT. So that's something I've seen it in some of your presentations. I mean, not in this presentation, but other F5 presentations. So I'm a little confused. I was under the impression there is no way to assign a public IP directly to the F5. That was my impression earlier, but.
Yeah, so in this case, we've had this discussion amongst ourselves, right? But if you're using a load balancer, if you've got an instance that's inside of if I'm using a load balancer, I can target a public IP. But my understanding, and again, talking to some architects around here, or additional architects, is that you cannot, you can't like assign like something like an EIP. I guess that would be the thing that you would have inside of AWS, right? And then NAT to it without using something like a load balancer. So in this case, the only way that you're targeting the big IP is through the use of public IPs and forwarding rules.
Then that forwarding rule must be associated with the Google's load balancer. Is that right?
This forwarding rule, where are they inside of Google, Sam?
So it's under load balancing, but to your question, no, we're not using Google Load Balancer. So it's just pointing, it's just an SDN. It's pointing like, if you look at the forwarding rule number 1, it's like, hey, this guy is listening on this address, public address, right? Anything coming to here, in our case, we listen all port, right? You can edit that to 80 or 443 or whatever. If traffic coming to the Google Cloud with this IP address, Google SDN will translate that and point it to your big IP to NIC 0. So you don't need the Google Load Balancer in this use case. There's other deployments use case that we use the Google Load Balancer, but not on this one. This one is failover via a Google API.
Okay, that's a nice point. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good point, So I was under the impression it's always a Google Load Balancer is needed when you create a forward role, but it seems, you can directly attach it. Thank you.
No problem.
The via API method never making use of something like a load balancer, no matter which public cloud you will use. So we always, in most cases, we have 2 flavors of providing a big IP cluster. It could either be via load balancing, which means you will use a load balancer from the particular public cloud you're in, or you will use the via API, which makes that the big IP will make use of the cloud provider's API to do the failover, which makes that the virtual service, which you can map to the public IP, what Sam just showed you, that is in fact more towards the classic way of a big IP HA as you might have it on-prem. But as a matter of fact, you always have 2 flavors in most cases. At least for AWS, Azure, Google, we have them for. I thought we also have them for Alibaba Cloud, but we have for those we have. I'm sure we have 2 flavors.
Yep.
It seems so dynamic. Would you turnaround time to failover? Depending on how many devices you have, would it be longer than what it is, or just that this is a lab, so it's that fast?
No, this is in the Google Cloud, so it's reality, right? So it depends on how many forwarding rules you have. So let's look at that. Let's look at
Okay.
If you have, 1,700 VIPs.
1,000, yeah, it might take a while, right? So as you can see, this one, it started. Where does it start? Discover route. Oh, discovery, updating Nick.
By the way,
It's
go ahead.
failover. Oh, let me enlarge it. It's easier. Failover. When does it start? Okay, it start around here, right? It start 20:42:52, and it's completed. So about 50 seconds. So if you have 1,000 forwarding rule, it might take a longer time than this one. So this one is with 3 forwarding rule.
Sam, could you please provide the top-down approach because it is not giving me the clear picture of how the failover works and how it has been set up. Yes, I did deploy the F5 and failover is working. I just wanted to see what is happening behind the scene. So if you open the G-Cloud console and in the network forwarding rule, it is pointing to the NIC of the F5 or it is a host name or how it is. So the top-down approach will give us the clear picture what is happening. First, where the request comes, then it gets forwarded to the load balancer or the forwarder. And from there, it goes to the NIC of the F5. And then based on that, and when you trigger the failover, what happens behind the scene?
Okay. Anybody want to take that? The walkthrough?
I mean, I can have a go here. So if you show the forwarding rules again,
Dan.
Okay, so you have an active big IP. Well, the targets here on the right is kind of important, right? But
yep.
So the target here is targeting, and I can't see the whole thing. What's the number of it? 1?
It's 2 right now.
2, okay. So you create these forwarding rules and they will target NIC 0 on instance 2, okay? And then let's jump over to the big IP. So these IP addresses relate to local traffic and then virtual servers. These virtual servers here are those public IP addresses. And can you just do a network map there? And because that's going to show you all the pool members.
Which one do you want to see?
Like a network map where I can see the VIPs and the pool members. Yeah, at the top there. So we've got these 3 forwarding rules, and then we've got behind them on the internal subnet, we've got 2 web servers. So we've got a VIP that points to 2 pool members that are sending traffic out on port 80 to each of the backend servers. And so what will happen is when you do and they'll run just fine, but when you do a failover, what happens is that forwarding rule. The other important thing is we've got SNAT enabled on the VIP, right? So we're doing a source network address translation on the VIP. So test VIP 1, when traffic arrives at the big IP, its source network address will be will look like the self IP on the internal self IP address, and the traffic will be sent from the big IP to the web server. The web server, because SNAT was enabled, will return the traffic directly back to the big IP on that self IP address. The big IP will then know how to route that traffic right back out onto the internet. So what happens during a failover is the forwarding rule will change the targeted NIC from, in this case, instance 2 to instance 1, right? So, and then when you open, you open up the web server again, it will hit the NIC 0 of the second big IP that it was failed over to. So does that clarify?
No, still it is not giving the clarity. So basically, I'm just trying to find in the target what you have put. Is it the host name, or can we go back to the?
Oh, okay. So that's the instance ID. The target is the instance ID. Does that?
Oh yeah. So target is the instance ID. So this
Yeah.
instance ID is how it is identifying that, okay, now this particular FIP is active or the other FIP is active. How it is deciding it. So how the GCP network load balancing is deciding like which instance is to send the traffic.
And the instance ID is the host name of the big IP. You have two different host name or only one host name for 2 units?
Two different host name. Two different. It's called target instance.
Okay, so only one. Okay, currently the public IP is forwarding to the primary, right? For example, is one. The secondary comes up. How does the target will change?
Yeah, can we show the instances in the Google Cloud platform, San? We can see all the different instances.
Because you are manually tagging the target to one instance. If that instance fails, how the target will change to other instance?
Oh, so how will failover be detected?
Yeah, it will be detected when the failover happens. The target name has to change, right?
Right.
Right. So we have a thing, iControl-LX extension called CFE already built in. So when you look at this, boom, boom. So it's pre-installed when you do the GDM template. So we installed it for you. So this guy, the one that says F5 cloud failover, this guy is the one that managing this, this one is the one monitoring all these failover events and telling the cloud, Google Cloud, sending the API, hey, move this NIC to here or move this forwarding route to here. So this guy is doing that. So it's called CFE. We can provide you like additional links so you can look at it.
Yeah, this is helpful. This is what I was looking for. So how this API is telling us, do you have some details? You can give the link so that we can go through it.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. So the cloud docs for cloud failover. This cloud failover component is included with the template, but it's also an independent component. So you could create separate big IPs and then install the cloud failover extension on the big IPs and do the same sorts of thing. But with the Google template, it's the very latest version 1.3 is included. So it's very easy to just automate the failover.
Yeah,
so
I
this
put that
cloud
in the
failover, basically, when the failover happens, it will go and change the instance name in the forward.
Right.
Is that right?
That's right.
It's a very nice feature, guys. There are so many vendors, they don't have this. They're still relying on Google load balancers. Historically, they come from layer 2 failover. They're unable to cope up with cloud. So you guys are doing a great job over there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I put the link in the chat box so you can check it out. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. So I have lab 3 and that's entirely optional. So is there a way that we could poll? Do you guys want to see? There is an optional lab. I've got a video about it. Basically, the whole idea is that you can with the cloud failover extension, it doesn't just do this, right? So you might have a different kind of failover use case where it will actually move the routes dynamically from one big IP to the other. And I can show you in a video real quick, and then we can be we'll be at time. So let me.
I have one small question before you move. So how we can use the public IP as we have discussed earlier as well. How to use the public IP directly as a VIP on the F5, which is running in a cloud. Just now we have tested it, but how to use it? Do you have to reserve the public IP first, elastic IP address, and then move it to or map it to the F5? How we do it, or how it works?
Okay, it's done in the YAML file. It's called the number of forwarding rules. So when you create that YAML file, if you open that YAML file, there's a value there, and it will be, 1 in your YAML file. That will create the number of forwarding rules, and they will be created on the big IP for you to create VIPs for. So they will appear in the big IP after the creation. And that actually in the lab 2, you create that VIP based upon that forwarding rule that was created.
So how the ARP works from in the Google Cloud. Suppose if I want to use a new VIP with a public IP address, how it is going to map and how it is going to tell that, okay, this VIP is mapped to this big IP and the ARP has to go into the Google Cloud so that the correct forwarding has to be working. Okay. So you're saying I've got 5 forwarding rules, but I want a 6th, right? Like, how would I do that? And yes.
You would, yeah. You'd have to create the forwarding rules inside of Google, and then create. Once you created those, then you could create the VIP. This could all be automated, right? So you could use something like Terraform to do this for you, or you could do it manually. But yeah, typically you might use Terraform to create a forwarding rule. Once you'd received the forwarding rule, you might create an AS3 declaration that would create the VIP inside of the big IP to do that for you. So it's sort of a 2-step process where you're using Google infrastructure and big IP infrastructure in order to create the VIP on the big IP.
Hey, Paul, just in the interest of time, I did a quick poll for you too. It looks like 9 people want to see Lab 3, or 90% of the people who we polled want to see Lab 3. So why don't you run it and we'll go from there. But I think we're going to have to shut this down too shortly after that. But I think the labs will all be available for everybody. Is that the case?
Yeah, we're going to keep this lab open, and they're also published as well on Cloud Docs. So you should be able to continue to go through the labs for the remainder of the day. Okay, real quick. I'm going to close this. Lab 3. Oh, no. And Lab 3. Or Lab 1, Lab 2.
You have a second there, Paul. I'm just going to say, hey, everybody, too, just so you see, on my screen right now, too, we have, I just have the website up for Shape Security. I don't know if you guys know, Shape Security is our recent acquisition. Shape is now part of F5, and this is what we're using to help protect customers against fraud against our applications. So I thought I'd throw that in there just so you guys see that, because I'm not sure that everybody knows that. But Paul, I'm going to let you take it over right now. I'm going to spotlight your video again.
Buttons.
There you go.
Okay, share my screen.
Hi, I have a question.
Go ahead. What's that question?
Yeah, during the lab 2, I need to know what is my public IP, because the previous setup in the lab 1, there were 4 IPs were generated. Should those 4 IPs for the F5 load balancer, or is it for the end user workload IP addresses? What are those for?
Maybe you should join a breakout room, and then we can kind of take that.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Care of. Okay, I'm just gonna run through Lab 3 right now. Sorry. Okay, basically, I'm going to show a video of Lab 3, and you can actually do it in this lab. You can run through Lab 3. You can do that, and if you have any questions, you can email myself or San. I will say that yeah, I mean, do it. If you've got questions, give us a call. But there's kind of a 2-step process. But the whole idea is to use dynamic routes to move from one big IP to the other. And I guess that I've got this, I should have some diagrams that would make it clear. But if you had routes, you can use the Cloud Failover extension, and it will actually move routes from one target big IP to the other. So if I was pointing at big IP 1 and I wanted to move from big IP 2, I could actually move the route inside of Google Cloud. And again, it uses the cloud failover extension. So the step-by-step guide is you need to do two things in order to accomplish this. You need to add a route inside of Google, and then you need to post a declaration to each big IP to tell that route to move from one big IP to the other. And I've got 3 videos that will show you the lab. So let me just quickly show those videos. Bear with me, guys.
So is this video available on Cloud Docs or anywhere else?
I could make it available. I've just done them. So yeah. Okay.
Paul,
so
if you want help, I can help you posting that.
Okay.
I can help you post it on YouTube somewhere.
Okay. So step 1, this is going to be, I think we start with the Postman declaration. So let me open it up. Open Sesame. Okay. Let me know if you can hear this, guys. Okay, I'm using version 1.3 of the Cloud Failover extension, which is the version that is installed. Can you hear
Pause
that?
it there, Paul. Paul, what you got to do is in the top right corner under More, you got to say Share Computer Sound or Share. In the Share component there, there's a little section that says More.
Okay, I just did that.
Share
Yeah.
Computer Sound. So that should be better now.
Yep. You're going to need to use the
beautiful
the Postman collection that's posted out on GitHub. So it will be at github.com under the Cloud Failover extension for release 1.3 of the CFE, and there is a Postman collection there. You're going to need that. You're going to import it into Postman. So import and then copy that link in under link. You will copy the URL for the Postman collection in there. Then you're going to need to, you'll import this collection. Then you're going to need to edit the collection here and put in your particular IP addresses for your particular big IP. So I've got each big IP here changed out, and then you update the collection. For those who then you're going to need to declare the extension to the big IP or to each big IP. So you'll need to send a declaration. So quickly under authorization, you're going to need to put in your username, your password name, and then from there you will send the declaration. The declaration needs to point to the self IPs of your big IPs. These will be the internal self IPs. So I'm pointing 10.3.0.40 is the active big IP, 10.3.0.39 is the passive big IP, and you're going to use the /29 network. So typically this would be just 0.0.0.0. For this lab, I just gave everybody a /29. So just want to make sure that this is a route that's pointing to the outside from the inside, right? So, and it's going to move from one self IP to the other. You might use this if you're maybe not using SNAT for your virtual IP addresses, something where you want to see the actual IP on the host that you're connecting to. That was assigned to you in the lab, and the failover label will be your lab user number. And then you'll hit send. and you'll see a 200 OK, which is a success coming back from the big IP. You're going to need to do that post on each of the big IPs. Okay, next step is lab 2, and then there'll be a demonstration of what step 2 in the lab. The last step in the process is to create the route. You're going to need to... Okay. The last step in the process is to create the route. You're going to need to use your lab user number that's assigned to you. So in my case, it's lab user 49. Yours is going to be something else, lab user X. And then you're going to use the /29 network that was assigned to you. And then the network is internal-VPC-221. The next hop will be the self IP on the active big IP. And the description will be the F5 cloud failover label of using the following syntax. So specifically this. And note how I am escaping the double quotes. So you need those escape characters in there for the double quotes to show up in the description. So /here, 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 and /here, and then the description in the route will show up with double quotes. That's a very important point, guys. This is in the lab. This is detailed in the Cloud Docs lab, but you need those slashes in there. If you're creating the route, it will create the route for you with the double quotes. Otherwise, it won't work. So that's an important point, and that is also detailed in the lab. But also the declaration is also detailed in the lab. So this is going to be how it works, right? So you're going to see kind of what have I just been talking about. Step 3, it will kind of show you with the Google Cloud Console what's happening and kind of what I've been rattling on about for the last 10 minutes. Let's see if I can bring it up. So this is a demonstration. So again, we're using the Cloud Failover Edition. And can you see here, we've got a route called Lab User 49, and we've got this labeling in here that I talked about when you create the route with the double quotes. So double quotes for the F5 Cloud Failover label and a quote within quotes for Lab User 49. And in this case, it's a different self IP, but what you're going to see is this route effectively move from one number to the other. There you go. And there it has changed there to 10.3.0. Let me just run back. I want to point at. Okay, in order to make the cloud formation template work correctly with the Cloud Failover extension, there are 2 additional requirements. One is to create a route with the correct description. Are you still in this case, you use something called the F. Can you still hear the audio properly, by the way? I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Cloud Failover labels, and it needs to point at the arbitrary name that you're using. In my case, I'm using the label of Lab User 49. The second thing you need to do is, again, I'm kind of reiterating, you need to post a declaration to each big IP that points to the self IPs of the big IPs. So the active box would be, in my case, 10.3.0.5. The passive box would be 10.3.0.6. And then you need an outbound subnet range that you're going to point to, which is going to be, in my case, it's a /29 network. And the label needs to be the label, the arbitrary label that you're using. And then you can go ahead and run a failover test. And what we should see here is this IP address should change from 10.3.0.5 to 10.3.0.6 after a successful failover. So I'm going to perform a failover. So I'm forcing an active box to standby, performing a failover. And I should, after a few seconds, see the route change. So watch this. See Lab User 49 down here, 10.3.0.5, lab user 49, it's just disappeared. There you go. And there it has changed there to 10.3.0.6. That's a good example of the timing as well. So it takes about, let's say 10 seconds in order for that to occur. And that's per forwarding rule. So again, this would be a different way of doing failover, right? So you could just use forwarding rules. You could use out of the box GDM templates, or you could use route-based failover where I'm literally moving the route that would be pointing at a self IP of the big IP from one internal self IP to the other. So that's kind of the idea behind Lab 3. And that's there for you guys to go and do, in your own time. The lab will be up for the rest of the day. And if you need to contact us, then get in touch. We are here. Yeah, my name is Paul Deakin, so you can reach me at p.deakin@f5.com. But if you've got any issues with it, can you also finally can we post that? Can we post the
in the chat the survey one more time?
Survey, yeah.
I've been doing it, trying to make sure people aren't going to leave us before
Yeah.
they do it. But please make sure. I'm putting it in right now. I got it. There it is.
Don't forget free flip-flops.
Let me throw that to everybody. There we go. So that's the survey again. So as long as we can kind of get everyone to fill that out, I'd be interested to hear your feedback of doing these. It's the first time I think we've done agility live like this. So it'd be great to hear from everybody about what they thought of how we did this for our first time as well too, and the feedback about breakout rooms and how we're handling all these things. Anything else, fellas?
I'm good. Yeah, the labs are still up. So if you want to carry on, please do. Happy to have the labs up for the rest of the day.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for participating.
I'm just keeping the rooms up for a second too. I think Sanjay is working with a couple people. I just want to make sure that he's okay, or he's working with one person. I just going to make sure he's okay. But if everyone else wants to drop, that's perfectly fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I can hang for a while here. I just need to go and get my cup of tea.
Yes, no problem.
Thanks, Josie. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Dayton.
And if Paul, you need someone to host that or a YouTube site, I have my work on that. I have no problem hosting that for you if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah. So the links are, I mean, I can send out a mailing like a thanks to everybody. And if you could post them, they're under Google 221 Agility Virtual Lab.
Yeah, I'll upload them if they're there. Just you got to give me 24 hours to do it sometimes.
Yeah. And then I'll send out an email like, hey, thanks. These are the links. That'll be
perfect. Yeah. Hey, Sanjay, I didn't want to just end the whole meeting without talking to you because I knew you were working with somebody there. Are you guys okay or?
Not okay. We're having trouble with accessing on the lab too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who are you in with?
I'm with
So Rushi's with me.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got on the lab, can you see the can you see the forwarding rule there?
Well, okay. Apparently, okay, so I'm in the lab too to identify what is my public IP for my web management. I mean to say, so my workload of web server. Load
Okay.
balance.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's see what we can see here. What is your lab user number?
60 lab 60.
60.
Yeah. I can share my screen just to show where I'm stuck.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you.
Lab user 60.
Okay, so I'm here. So this, okay, I hope everybody see my screen. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my web interface. So I was using this IP. I was not very sure about it. From the output, I have given total 4 IP address. These are the management of F5, right?
Yeah,
that is
that's
where
correct.
I logged in. Yeah, I log in. So look at here, that's the management. And then there was another IP bottom that is 34 is all management, if I'm not wrong. So what about my public IP for web application? See, this is my web, right?
Yeah,
And
so let's have a look. It's under virtual server. Click under virtual servers, and then I just want to make sure you've got the right
I'm in
virtual
virtual
address
server.
list. We want to see virtual address list. So click under virtual servers, virtual address list.
Okay.
So these ones are the ones. So you've got something here, 34.82.
Oh, okay. You mean I should use this one, right? That's exactly
Yes.
the one I used.
Yeah.
So, but it's not responding.
Okay, so let's have a look at the VIP itself. First of all, let's look at the pool.
Okay. So this is my address, and then HTTP and state enable, and then I think source address translation auto map.
Yeah, and make it auto map. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Then any specific rewrite rules? Nothing. So I simply
you just need to assign a pool to it. So it seems
yeah.
like
In the resources, I selected pool. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I check statistics, of course, it doesn't show no traffic is coming, but this is the IP I selected. 34.82.141.252.
Can we look at your pool as well?
Okay. Go to pools.
I had a similar issue as well.
There you go. My pool list, HTTP, and my pool members are the two web interface.
80.
Yep. Each pool is.
Have a look at the virtual server again.
Yep. Virtual server. There you go.
Destination HTTP enabled. Don't necessarily need the HTTP profile with that, but that's fine. Scroll down. Auto map.
Yeah, it looks very simple load balancer.
Yeah.
So should we? There any specific VLAN terminal traffic? No.
No, I mean all is fine for this.
Okay. Yeah. Then should I use any HTML profile?
No, just none for that. Yeah, you don't need anything there.
Yeah, like I said, just simply doing the standard.
34.
I don't see any complex thing. No SSL. So.
All right.
it's showing enable. Should we disable and try enable later?
Yeah. Don't know what's going on there. It's not.
Let me try that. Yeah, so it seems to be something caching this address. Because, yeah, now it's enable. Control C, yeah.
Can you just delete the virtual server?
Yeah, I'm just trying that. Yeah, give me 1 second. So there you go, 34, 82, 141, 252. Yeah, it's just cooking something. Yeah. Traffic block floating, enable state, auto delete when an actual server enable, connection limit 0.
Hey Stan, did we have two forwarding rules there?
Forwarding rules?
No.
Where do...
Oh.
I think you might have put the forwarding rule count to 2, right?
Where?
Rashi? When you do the YAML file.
In the YAML file?
Yeah. The one you launch.
Which YAML file? The file which we deployed?
Yeah, the one you deploy. What's your lab user?
Yeah, this is the file. So where do we have forwarding rules? Availability zone 1, 2, management.
Yeah, you only have 1.
One. How come there's 2 there?
Yeah, how come you have 2?
Oh, well, I just simply took the same template file given to me. I didn't modify anything.
Let's use.
You create the VIP with the other public IP you see on the big IP.
Yeah. Okay. So,
hey, Paul, I don't want to interrupt what you guys are doing here. I'm going to jump out and make you the host. I have other customer meetings that I do have to.
Yeah, no problem, Matthew. Yeah,
great job, guys. Thank you very much.
All right. Cheers. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
So
click under resources again.
Resources?
Not under I'm looking at trying to find the virtual servers / virtual address list.
Okay, should be in the, so this is virtual server, virtual address list. That's fair, yeah.
Okay, so so we've got 35.247. Okay, so let's delete. Go to virtual servers.
Yeah. Okay.
And delete it. Just click delete. Go back.
Okay. Virtual server.
Yeah, and list.
Oh, you mean address list again?
No. Go up one to virtual server list. Yeah. So delete the virtual server test. So let's select delete. Okay, you've got that. There.
You mean which one to delete? The entry?
That one, yeah, you got it. And then click the delete button down to the right.
Okay.
And then delete again.
Okay.
Should we just try the other one, the other virtual address?
Okay. So you're telling me I should try the second one, the 35247?
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay. Let me try that. No worries. I'm okay. Okay. Yep, looks cool. Let's try 3247. Yeah, that did the magic, I think. Looks like the other IP was either blocked or not available. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's strange. I just look at your deployment. There's only one forwarding group created, but for some reason you have two in virtual address list. Will you at some point manually add it, or it's just show up like that?
Yeah, I'm surprised too. But see, this 35 to 47, 39, 34 was not at all in my list of internal or external pool here. But anyway, I pick up that. Okay, that's not a big deal. I just want to make sure it's no difference than what we do in the internal, right? You just understand the flow. Okay, perfect. So I think, yeah, last time, I had a question to Eric. We were using a different partition, and then, we were automating everything through the big IP controller in the Kubernetes. So we don't have to go through all this manual thing and adding pool, adding virtual server, so the big IP controller get created automatically, right? So
yeah,
we were using
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'd use, in fact, in the YAML file, that what Kubernetes is doing is it's using something called AS3. So,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually, as part of this YAML file for the Google Cloud template, you can send an AS3 declaration to kind of do this all for you. Or you could, or you could, once it's up, then you could use Ansible and create whatever infrastructure it is that you wanted.
This was we are using. So we were using the declarative method, and then as you see, right? So we have big IP for controller. As you see, the controller runs on the Kubernetes, and then and it's like a watchdog, and then automatically look into the workspace, and then it generates the pool, it generates the load balancer, it generates the VIP based upon the range and the config path we defined. So that's why we pretty much did the DevOps side automation. So it automatically creates load balancer, and as and when a Kubernetes node goes down in a scaling situation, it will also scale the pool members.
Absolutely, it will. Yeah. With the Kubernetes controller, it is, as you say, it's like a watchdog, right? So if you get commands coming in from Kubernetes, say, hey, add five backend members, then the big IP will reprogram itself. But underneath the hood, that's absolutely all using AS3. But you're absolutely right. That's how that works.
We were very successful this. So all our Kubernetes internal, we deployed this. And it was working great. The only point here is, when it comes to a kind of self-healing process, we are still looking into application load-wise. Ingress is really breaking up, but when you don't use the ingress method, absolutely there is no problem. But when you use the ingress domain, it just breaking some logic. So we are looking into that.
You mean when you're using ingress, you're using the overlay networking with the Calico type stuff rather than?
Well, we don't. Okay, so we are using a distribution name called Rancher. I'm sharing my screen here. So this Rancher is the Kubernetes distribution. Sorry about that. What happened to my screen?
I can see it. I can see your screen.
You can see it. I can see it. My projector is okay. So as you see here, we are using Kubernetes distribution name called Rancher.
Yeah.
So the Rancher has a specific. They use a overlay network combination called Calico. Canal. Canal is the hybrid model which supports Flannel and Calico. So we were using Canal. Canal is the overlay network. So due to the canal, we see some kind of different behavior that in an ingress controller is breaking the logic. But when we don't use the Rancher mechanism and a plain Kubernetes having just a Calico or a Flannel, it works. But a combination of Calico and Canal hybrid model using in an overlay network, this is something breaking. So we are working with Rancher guys to figure out what is the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, but so far so good. Yeah, perfectly working. Okay, thank you.
And you're in Azure. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I can't see everything now.
Okay.
But that's cool.
Yep. So
that's way more advanced than what we're doing. The idea here was that we wanted to show you kind of you know, how could I just simply build out infrastructure in Google, right?
Yeah,
there could be way more, you know, there could be somewhat more involved kind of methodologies that you would use, like using something like Kubernetes and containers and what have you, and using the ingress controller. So it's good that you're doing that. So Rushi, what other questions can we answer for you? Hey, Rushi.
I think it's on mute.
I should so. Sanjay, where do you live?
I'm in San Jose.
Okay, I was going to say that's good. I think
Not
I've seen
bad.
think I've seen some of your stuff before. Programming, is it Go? You've
Oh yeah, so I contributed on the Terraform provider for Big IP.
Okay.
So right
Excellent.
now I'm working on terminating gateway with Console Connect.
Okay.
That's the new stuff which is coming along.
Interesting.
Is our Terraform like official now, or is it still like beta kind of thing?
Which one, Sam?
At our Big IP Terraform for GCP.
Terraform Big IP provider is official already. So we handed the code to the PD.
Oh, the provider one, not the deployment. Okay, got it.
So Rushi, I think we're going to have to finish the session. We've run over a little bit here, but if you guys or anybody else on the call has got any more questions, please contact either myself, p.deacon@f5.com, or sanco, s.co@f5.com, and we'll be happy to kind of help you and maybe have an individual call if you've got some questions about other F5 technology that you might be interested in looking at. And I'm going to put my email and San's email. Is that right? Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So so guys, yeah, without I'm going to end it at 2:40. So thanks for coming. We're 40 minutes over, but if you need have any more questions, reach out to either myself or San, and we can get you in touch with the right people or answer them ourselves. So that's it. Thanks for coming all.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Guys.
Bye-bye.